Well, crazy days, extraordinary times. Thank God it's Friday. Up. That's the thought which occupied my mind when I walked into office this morning. What is happening? What is coming next? What should you do? And how essentially can you decode the market? So we'll try and make sense of the mad volatility, what it means for your portfolio, what is more importantly coming next. And in this extreme volatility, how can you actually pick some spots to make money? Before I generally talk about the narrative of where we are headed and what has happened last night and where we are in terms of in positioning, they say volatility is long-term investors' best friend. And there's a difference in risk and volatility. So how can you really maximize on this volatility? We'll talk a lot about that. But just to set the context here, when we were away on Thursday, Wednesday night, US markets had a wild party. And part of that party got challenged because of, I guess, midnight compulsions. Net, everybody knows the news by now. If you're watching the show, I'm sure you've read the news on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, that the US administration is in a mood to negotiate. And that, in a sense, has really calmed the markets down. But only the equity markets down. Why? Because the bond markets are still volatile, the dollar is at 100, and commodities are struggling to hold on. So are we in for a gap up start? What do you do after that gap up start? Could we see bout of short covering? And given that half the gains were knocked off yesterday, which is on Thursday, Wednesday night, half the gains were off on Wednesday, half the gains were off on Thursday. What are the chances that Wall Street also gets into a downward spiral? You know, both of us seen 20 years plus of market. But there are days when you say, OMG, there are days you say, ye kya ho raha hai, there are days you say, let it just happen.